So as discussed earlier last week, this week we are going to be talking about one concept called shop floor management. Basically, what we are dealing with here is with a very important concept that is based on management theory. We have already discussed that we might find on a technical complexity level several levels, okay? And we were talking earlier in this lecture on the machine level or the shop floor level. We were talking on a value stream, or other people call it dock-to-dock level, which is basically a concatenation of several such machines. So it's an aggregation process. We can also talk about a factory, okay? And we can also talk about a value chain, supply chain with several factories. And this would be a way, not the only one, but a way to explain the complexification on a technical level that is observed in industrial settings, okay? Always growing complexity to the top. That doesn't mean that it's easier to manage a shop floor than it is to manage a supply chain. That is by no means said, but we all agree that by aggregating different levels, we are able to obtain several advantages, okay? The whole theory of networks is related to this. You can create supply chain networks. You can create within the factory. You can create networks. Also, you find networks within the value stream, and you find networks within the shop floor. And the question here is, how do we manage? Okay, so the focus is going to be on management today. How do we manage the shop floor? Okay, this level as a basis to manage all the rest. Okay, so we focus on what we call shop floor management, SFM, in order to get better performance. And the first thing is to describe the challenges found in industry 4.0 contexts. Okay. One of the first challenges, and you can read that down in the paper, is the need to sustainably empower the workforce. Okay, you need a systemic way to empower your people. You need to create autonomous and intelligent systems able to cope with complexity Nummer 3 is that this complexity is associated with a value stream network. Both concepts we already know, both the value stream and both network. Okay. And we need, in order to achieve that, we need a strategic direction giving paradigm that creates alignment. From previous, here there are several concepts that are important: alignment and strategic direction. Here, 2 comments you might want to be looking at previous semesters on Hoshin Kanri and the concept of Nemawashi, which we have treated in the previous semester. Okay, so those are the challenges found in Industry 4.0 contexts, and those are backed up by some references I have given you in the paper. Any questions? Jemand hat Fragen? Soll ich was wiederholen? Deutsch? Second is able to cope, C-O-P. So, ich übersetze es. Unabhängige und smarte Systeme, die in der Lage sind, Komplexität zu verdauen, Komplexität zu verwalten, zu steuern. Cope, C-O-P-E. Hat jemand Fragen? Okay, wenn keine Fragen hat. Das Konzept, the concept of shop floor refers to processes close to production or distribution. According to one guy called Berg, van der Berg, and Leuf. But I would like to extend it to processes close to the value creation, because you can also have a shop floor management on an office, okay? And in the offices also value being created, not only in the physical production or distribution. And this is closer to the definition given by Japanese refer to shop floor as gemba. And gemba is the place where reality happens. It's the place, let's say, physical or virtual, where value is created. So when we talk about shop floor management, we are in reality talking about gemba management. Okay. Those concepts are interchangeable. Any questions? Hat jemand Fragen? So in einem Kontext, wo in a context in which which is the challenge? Just imagine we have technical a dimension, which is the technical complexity, a dimension which is the social complexity, it's a socio-technical environment in which we have 4 levels each. We've been talking about this in previous weeks. You go from trustworthiness to trust to empowerment and to alignment, and here you go from subfloor to supply chain, in which complexity is constantly being added to the system. Complexity is always growing. Okay. In such an environment, the challenge is to find a management system that can be, or that is susceptible to be used at all levels of complexity and allows for alignment. Because if we find a solution that Kim, ja, ein Beispiel zum Thema Shopfloor ist die Montage von einem Auto, die Montagelinie oder die Zerspannungsmaschine. Shopfloor der Fabrik. Okay. If we find a system that that can be used at one level of complexity, but cannot be aggregated, then our system is not general enough, and as a result will not work. Because we cannot aggregate it, and therefore we cannot attain alignment. Alignment, remember, is the coordination among several levels of complexity. So es gibt eine Frage, warte mal, ist relativ lang. Florian, ich gebe dir das Mikrofon. So.
Ach so, ja, okay.
Ja.
Okay, ja, habe ich das jetzt richtig verstanden, dass das Shopfloor-Management versucht, ein System zu finden, um die ganze technische Komponente, also die technische Seite mit der sozialen Seite zu vereinbaren, oder?
Ja, genau. Wir versuchen, die Technik zu steuern, sodass wir unsere wertschöpfende Ziele erreichen bei gleichzeitigem Vertrauensaufbau.
Ah, okay. Ja, dann passt das. Okay. Danke.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. So we can continue. So this is the challenge, and the goal, just as I said in a minute ago, is to find a management system that allows us to achieve our value creating goals, say organizational goals, while increasing social trust among the stakeholders. Okay, this is the challenge that we are facing with our find a management system that allows to achieve our value creating organizational goals while increasing social trust among the stakeholders. If you want, important here is the value creating goals, the increasing trust among the stakeholders. Okay, and of course the management system, which is the answer to it. Any questions? Jemand hat Fragen? Ihr könnt euch vorstellen, you can think about this, the organizational level of senior management had some strategic goals. These strategic goals need to be cascade down to, let's say, factory management. Just now in an industrial context, okay? This needs to be cascaded down to our line management. And this needs to be cascaded down to our shop floor. If you imagine a factory, okay? So we have the central headquarters, cascading down to the factory, cascading down to the line, cascading down to the shop floor. Okay. And all this is happening in real time. So there's information that is relevant from the shop floor being transmitted back up. And this is very, very complex. Line management is ich habe das Gefühl, ihr habt noch nie so ein Werk besucht. Es wäre wünschenswert für jemanden, der VI studiert, dass ihr, also Vertriebsindustrie, dass ihr mal ein Werk besucht. So, ich habe hier in der Regel, hier habe ich mein Meister oder mein Teamleader. Hier habe ich meinen Werksleiter und hier habe ich die Zentrale. Und hier habe ich die Mitarbeiter. Stellt euch vor, jetzt zum Beispiel Daimler. Beim Daimler habe ich die Zentrale in Stuttgart, dann habe ich einen Werksleiter in Mannheim, dann habe ich einen Meister in der Montage der Gießerei und dann habe ich einen Mitarbeiter an der Gießanlage. Okay? Und so gewisse Informationen müssen von einem Punkt zum nächsten in relativ zügige Form kommen. Gewisse strategische Ziele müssen hoch und runter kaskadieren. Diese Kaskade ist nicht trivial und vor allem nicht einfach, weil es in einem komplexen System, in einem komplexen Netzwerk stattfindet. Okay? Wie ist die Frage beantwortet, Kim? Kim hat gerade gefragt, was ist Line Management? Zum Beispiel. Okay, Fragen noch? Anybody has questions? Okay, dann wir machen eine kurze Pause und in 5 Minuten schicke ich euch nochmal eine Einladung. Bis gleich. So we continue now. There are basically 3 approaches or 3 schools that so far had been taken to approach this, to attack this problem, this challenge. The first would be the one that is called goal-oriented. The second can be called direction-oriented or evolutional. That acknowledge the organizational evolution, and there are some that are hybrid. So the first one is goal-oriented, the second one is evolutional, and there are some that are hybrid. Basically, goal-oriented approaches focus on at an individual and at an organizational level, focus almost solely on the goal. And you will notice that this approach is very, very common. One person, one team, one group, one factory gets goals. Okay, by then and then a definition of a goal, probably you've heard of it. It should be specific, measurable, and so on and so forth. Achievable. It should be smart. Okay, the problem with this approach is, and one of these approaches is the balance scorecard. The fundamental problem of these approaches, so there is an issue that cannot be solved with these approaches, is that they are not able to cope with complexity. unable to cope with complexity. Because if we give goals to a lot of people at the same time in an organization, imagine the production manager here gets some goals, and the logistic manager gets some goals, and the factory manager gets some goals, and the shop floor manager gets some goals, and the line manager gets some goals. If you give goals to all these people at the same time, let's say in January, until you need to achieve these goals until December to reduce cost by 10%, or by increase output by 20%, or whatever. Okay, if you give them individual goals or collective goals without knowing what are the consequences or the influence of their actions to each other, let's say in mathematical terms, without knowing the correlation factor of the KPIs measuring the individual E and the KPIs measuring the individual J, if we don't know, and we cannot know it a priori, okay? We don't know a priori. If we don't know this, then we will be setting the organization for misalignment. So at some point, the production leader will try to increase output by increasing stock, which will bring the goals of the logistic leader out of balance, which will bring the quality goals out of balance, which will bring the overall limits out of balance, and so on and so forth. So we will not get the consequence of goal-oriented management systems is usually misalignment. So the opposite as what we are going to achieve. Okay. And this is a big, big, big problem for society, because they're easy. Goal-oriented management systems are easy to design. They are attractive to senior leaders because they can be dimensioned in one weekend, let's say. Okay, so you can sit down with your senior partners and design your management system in 1 weekend with some consultants of your trust. And of course, no consultant is going to ever tell you that you're doing something wrong because they have an interest in the business of creating strategic goals and goal-oriented systems, because they make money with that. So they will not help you get out of the trap. Okay, any questions so far? Hat jemand Fragen diesbezüglich? Das ist eine Frage von Lukas. So clear goals are harder to reach with higher complexity. Clear goals, I would not say harder, I would say impossible. Okay. I put you on Lukas. So, du hast das Mikrofon, wir können gerne drüber reden, okay? Hörst du mich? Lukas? Lukas, kannst du mich hören? Kannst du kurz was sagen? Hat jemand Lukas? Hallo? Hallo? Okay, scheint nicht möglich zu sein. Ich gebe euch ein Beispiel auf Deutsch, okay? Ich gebe euch ein Beispiel. Jetzt stellt euch vor, ich bin hier Produktionsleiter. So, Lukas, wenn du online kommst, dann sag Bescheid, okay? Dein Mikrofon funktioniert nicht. Okay, gut, dann stelle ich dich wieder weg. Hier ist der Produktionsleiter. Okay, und er hat gewisse Ziele. Ziel ist bis Dezember minus 20% Euros pro Stück. Das ist ein dezentes Ziel, oder? Wir wollen die Produktionskosten reduzieren. Und dafür macht er einen Plan. Der macht ein Projekt. Der ist wirklich fleißig und da hat Maßnahme 1, Maßnahme 2, Maßnahme 3, Maßnahme 4. Er macht alles Mögliche. Und ist so ein effektiver, ehrgeizige Führungskraft. Und in der Regel hat er alles erreicht in seinem Leben. Warum sollte er dieses Ziel nicht erreichen? Ist hart, aber er gibt ja alles. Okay? Er macht einen Plan. Bam, 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 bam. Damit er sein Ziel erreicht. Eine der Maßnahmen ist aber, die Personalkosten zu reduzieren, hier irgendwo mittendrin, die Personalkosten zu reduzieren auf, und das macht er dadurch, dass er halt die Leiharbeiterquote erhöht um 20%. Okay, so hier macht er Leiharbeiterquote plus 20%. Okay, und das hat einen unmittelbaren Einfluss, und zwar vielleicht nicht sofort, aber innerhalb von wenigen Wochen auf, guess what, Qualität. Und da kommt die Alarm von dem Qualitätsleiter. Alarm, Alarm, hier die Qualitätskosten, Qualitätsleiter, die Qualitätskosten gehen hoch. Also der Werkleiter sagt dem Qualitätsleiter, das ist der Chef von beiden, der ist irgendwo hier, der Werksleiter sagt dem Qualitätsleiter, pass auf, lieber so und so, mach bitte mir einen Plan, damit wir wieder die Qualität auf Vordermann bringen. Okay, und der Qualitätsleiter ist wieder ein fleißiger Bub, der hat alles versucht, jetzt durch ein paar Maßnahmen auch die Welt in Ordnung zu bringen. Und eine der Maßnahmen hier heißt, Stalllieferant muss geändert werden, damit die Qualitätsanforderungen verbessert werden. Und das hat wiederum einen Einfluss auf die, das ist jetzt der Werkleiter, das hat wiederum einen Einfluss auf die Kosten. Und so Controllingsleiter. Ja, ich bin gleich bei dir, Radoslav. Das Anpassen ist möglich, aber ist nicht so einfach in einem komplexen System, weil ich schon Ziele habe bis Dezember. Controllingsleiter hat wiederum auch ein Ziel, nämlich, dass die Kosten sowohl Qualität wie Produktionskosten runtergehen. Also er macht ein schärferes Ziel und so weiter und so fort. Okay? Das Problem hier ist psychologisch. Okay? Wenn ich jetzt jemand auf einem Ziel setze, dann und er macht einen Projektplan, er macht einen Plan dafür, ihm aus diesem Ziel wegzunehmen, wo ich hier eine ganze Konstellation und Kaskade von mehreren hundert oder tausenden Menschen involviert habe auf diese Zielsetzung. Wieder aus dem Pferd zu nehmen und ihm zu überzeugen, dass es nicht so toll ist, was er gerade macht und er sollte doch was anderes machen im Wohle der Allgemeinheit, ist gar nicht so einfach. Okay? Wir haben hier mit Komplexität zu tun und Komplexität kann man nicht erklären mit einfachen Zusammenhängen. Weil wir a priori nicht kannten, welcher Einfluss, welche Korrelation diese zwei oder drei oder vier, und ich habe jetzt nur ein Beispiel gemacht mit 3 Leuten, aber stell dir vor, wir haben mehrere hunderte oder mehrere tausende solche Charaktere im Spiel, weil wir nicht wissen, welcher Einfluss diese Zusammenhänge zueinander haben oder diese Aktionen zueinander haben, ist es nicht möglich, mit Zielen in einem komplexen Zusammenhang oder mit Zielzuständen in einem komplexen Zusammenhang überhaupt irgendwas zu erreichen, außer Chaos. Okay? Und deine Frage, Lukas, clear goals are harder to reach with higher complexity. Ja, ist viel schwieriger. Ich würde sagen sogar, es ist nicht möglich. Oder beinahe unmöglich. Oder nur mit einem extremen Aufwand, was eigentlich für die Wertschöpfung oder für die Wertschöpfung ausgerichtet werden sollte. Okay? Deshalb, und genau wie der Kollege, es kommt nicht auf die Ziele an. Ich habe ein klares Ziel. Ich habe bis Ende Dezember minus 20% zu erreichen. Ich weiß, es ist schwierig, sich zu lösen von der Idee, ohne Ziele zu arbeiten. Ich zeige dir aber gleich, wie es geht. Okay? So, Hybrid-Management-Systeme oder Evolutional Management-Systeme arbeiten nicht mit Zielen, sondern mit Richtungen. Okay. So we work here with direction oriented. We work here with, so Nummer 2, number 2, direction oriented. Direction oriented systems work not with goals, they work with a direction. Okay, let me paint here a compass. A compass always points to north, doesn't matter if I'm in the desert or if I am in the woods, I always know where north is, theoretically. Okay, this is just a metaphor. Okay. So here what we do is we create a system, a communication standard that is able to adjust. And that allows us to create networks, as we have seen in the past. So we can adjust. We have here Punkt 2, evaluation, nein, evolution. evolutional and goal-oriented. When evolutional is direction-oriented, okay? So here we find our KPI, our check. Here we find our process, the priority, the analysis, here as the plan. Here we find the actions to do, and here we find the standard. We have what we call the CPDNA for project management, or the DCPNA for project management. You need to know both. You need to know both well. This was the first lecture in the semester, okay? You need to understand this and be able to explain that with examples. And the reason is that it is very important. You need to know that because it's the basis for what we are going to see. The very basic. We are going to create now a system, a management system that takes this unit and operationalizes it into a management system, into a shop floor management system, creating what is called a Hoshinkanri tree. And I call it tree because it's a hierarchical network. Okay, now imagine we have our senior manager that gets some strategic goals from top management, and this person wants his factory manager to report to him or to her in a systematic manner. So the next level is the factory manager. Okay, and this person, the strategic leader, senior leader, gets all the information reported with our communication standard in form of a CPDNA. And each time I paint this, you know what I mean. So here it's meant exactly this. And what we get here is a standard report. Sorry. Standard reporting. And the factory manager reports every month on following KPIs. Let's say the euros per unit. The cash flow and the returns on sales. So I am a factory manager. I report every month on the KPI, on the process of my factory, on the priorities this month. I make an analysis. I make some actions that try to fight back to whatever happens in the system, so I get my cycles done. Okay, these are all cycles. They happen every month. So now imagine I want to cascade this information down, but it is important. I am not working with a goal here. I am working with something that is not a goal. It is a direction. The direction is I want to get better. Okay, the direction is get better and is given by the strategic goals, which are extrinsic to the organization. Okay. So the factory manager breaks down this information, and we will see next week how we do that. Breaks down this information into easier or less complex units. And so the line manager is taking the information and is going to report every week. So 4 times faster. No, the direction, Bratislav, the direction is not goal oriented. The direction is the difference between a direction and a goal is, let me explain it like this. Now imagine I tell you your goal is to get to Berlin running from Stuttgart in the next 10 hours. Okay. So I give you a specific goal. You need to get to Berlin running in the next 10 hours. Okay. This is a goal. But if I give you a direction, is I tell you, okay, you need to go and start walking direction Berlin. The direction is not a goal. Direction is goal oriented, yes, but it's not a goal. Okay. We need to have a direction given, giving the north, and this is given by the strategic goal. But it's important to say that this strategic goal is out of the organization. It's not within the organization. Something that it does not depend on the senior strategic leader. Okay, so the line manager is taking care every week of the lead time, is taking care of the quality, and is taking care of the changeover. Okay. And then the same thing is happening with the shop floor people. Same very thing is happening with the shop floor people, and they're reporting on number of accidents. They're reporting on the Ordnung und Sauberkeit, so 5S, what is called 5S. And they're reporting on, let's say, the PPMs, or on the Ausschuss. Okay, on the, what do you say? NOK to total. Die Frage, Florian, ob es zu dem Thema Übungen gibt, ist nichtig. Und es ist nicht der richtige Zeitpunkt, um die Frage zu stellen. Okay, es gibt, die Übungen kommen nach der Theorie. Jetzt erkläre ich die Theorie, bitte konzentriere dich auf die Theorie, und dann kommen die Übungen. Ich kann nicht die Übungen vor der Theorie erklären. Okay, also bitte konzentriere dich auf, was wir jetzt sehen, und dann gucken wir uns die Übungen an. Das erfolgt dann nächste Woche. O und S ist Ordnung und Sauberkeit. It's also called 5S. So you need to keep your workplace tidy and pretty. Okay, so what we create here, what we created is a cascade. Okay, so this happens, let's say, twice a week. What we created here is a cascade. Our system, our management system, is cascading the strategic goals all the way down, to the shop floor. And the shop floor is cascading them back all the way up in several frequencies. Okay. So, and this vector of expansion, this vertical expansion, vertical, let me paint it somewhere else. This first vector of expansion goes along the hierarchy. This is very important. Okay. The system expands first on the hierarchy. So in 10 minutes, I send you, or in 5 minutes, I send you another invitation for further explanation. Little pause. We continue now. This call, we call this first approach, or this first vector, if you want, this first structure emerging from the system, we call it the Hoshin-Kanri tree. So it's a tree because it's a hierarchical structure. I'm going to paint it green so that it's pretty. Okay, and you can see that the structure looks a little bit like a tree. But in reality, this is not really describing complexity, okay? This is describing only the first approach. This is our tree, but it's the basis, okay? What happens if let's say, if the line manager of production that we had before is detecting some problems in the quality of the parts being delivered to him from the supplier, okay? What happens then? So he will measure lead time is going up, quality is going down. He will see that in his process. He will see that in his process. He will see that in his priorities of the week, because he's doing this every week. He does some analysis and comes to the conclusion that something needs to be done on the supplier side. What happens then? So both the factory manager and the supplier manager, let's say Lieferantenmanager or logistics manager, line manager, logistics, both report to the same boss, okay? And the logistics manager has probably different KPIs as the line manager production has. But we start something called horizontal connection. because we have detected some problems in the delivery of the parts to production from supplier. We're going to start something called horizontal production, horizontal connection in the network. Just as when you see in the forest, you can see different trees connected to each other. And if you look up in the forest, you will see it looks like the branches of the trees are connected to each other, okay? Just picture the forest and look at the trees in your mind, and it looks like they're connected, they're touching, but they're not touching really. So that's why you see, you don't see the sun and you get some shadow. So this interconnection, this horizontal interconnection, is the second vector. It's the second vector of connection. And it doesn't depend on hierarchy. It does not depend on hierarchy. It depends on the value stream. I hope you're connecting now to the other lectures where we saw this same logic. But now we're looking at this into way more detail, okay? So, any questions so far? Hat jemand Fragen? This is the second dimension, yes. No, value stream can be at any dimension, at any hierarchy level. So you can connect the logistics manager with the factory manager. You can connect the logistics manager with the shop floor manager. It doesn't matter. And the reason why you can do this is because you always have the same communication standard. If you wouldn't have a communication standard, you wouldn't be able to do it, okay? That's why this is so important. So, and the third dimension is imagine. It gets a little bit trickier now with the drawing, but imagine that your factory manager is going to translate one process to a different factory. Your factory manager in Stuttgart is translating a process to a different factory in, I don't know, in Stockholm. You need to create a third dimension. And so you see how the trees are growing. The third vector, we'll paint it violet, dark violet. Third vector is something called Yoko Tenkai. Or standardization. And it is very important at an organizational level, and this is the reason why we get complex networks at all. Okay? Any questions? Hat jemand Fragen? So this is the way we create a three-dimensional or actually a complex networked organizational design based solely on direction-giving principle of continuous improvement, always get better, and always following the strategic goals. This whole thing is called Hoshinkanri tree, and if you make several trees, then you can call it the Hoshinkanri forest. If you want more details, you can find them on the website. I have some keynotes explaining this in very much detail at a different level, okay, not bachelor level, but doctoral level. But if you want to get into detail, you can certainly do it. Okay, so this is the Hoshin-Kanri forest logic based on the communication standard CPDNA or DCPNA. You can find all this information at www.profh4.com. Please make sure you get feedback on the YouTube channel for others to see how you feel about these lectures. As I said, it's not really for me, but for the rest of the community in the university so that they grasp how this methodology of teaching is helping you, okay? So, had somebody have some questions? Hat jemand Fragen? Deutsch? Gerne. Keiner hat Fragen? Okay, dann schließe ich das hier heute ab und bitte gib Feedback auf YouTube, wenn möglich, über die Inhalte. Nächste Woche schauen wir uns die praktischen Übungen für Florian und für seine Prüfung. Okay, bis dann. Servus.